Sanda. We are here sitting in Sydney. You've been in Australia for nearly a week.
Yeah.
We've been visiting businesses, some of our amazing participants of the Global Compact Network Australia.
Yeah.
It's your first visit to these fine shores. What have you thought? What are your reflections? What have you noticed?
Well, first, such a beautiful and warm country. It's been amazing to be here in this week and, as you say, spend time with all your wonderful participants and a broad range of stakeholders. We've had discussions with government, with business, with civil society as well. You know, my initial reflections, I'm struck by, first, the desire for ambition. Everywhere I've been, private sector's asking, what more can they do? How can we work collaboratively together? I think it's great to see that spirit. The second, and we spend quite a bit of conversation in this, is understanding how to better include or work with and alongside the First Nations communities. I think that's come up in climate, it's come up in oceans, has come up around the whole piece around economic reconciliation. So two really big learnings for me. Third is also just understanding the extractive industry, you know, such a core part of the Australian economy, so much that can be done around innovation and sustainability, but also so critical for what the future looks like in tech and AI.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a discussion with one of our extractives companies and we were talking about critical minerals and how everything that you use, your phone, your TV, your batteries, your car, is all powered by the extractive industries.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Yes. So you work all over the world, globally. Is there 70 local networks now?
Well, just over 60. Yeah.
Just over 60 country networks.
Yeah.
And you travel to many different places. What have you specifically noticed about any challenges there might be in Australia?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, I think, working collaboratively across sectors is always a challenge. And as we're a couple of weeks away from COP29, I think the key issue here is how do we all come in together, government, private sector, and across the private sector in and of itself, and civil society, and really mobilize strong action for COP29. You know, countries will be declaring their nationally determined contributions. I know when I spoke with Minister Bowen, there was a real key, push towards having an ambitious NDC and strong targets for both 2030 and 2050. But we really must be able to do that together. We need a great policy environment. We need private sector that has the right signals and incentives. And we need civil society for its engagement with community and the accountability. So really bringing that all together is absolutely critical.
And that's something that the Global Compact actually does really well.
You do.
Is to bring stakeholders together from all parts and all types of society, but across all sectors. So we have in Australia 370 businesses that represent every single sector of the ASX.
Yeah.
And we do hear time and time again from our businesses how much they enjoy learning from entirely other industries, but also civil society, universities, and that diversity of knowledge is really helpful.
Yeah. Let me go back to your point about the stock exchange and the businesses you have represented there, because collectively it's a significant part of the market. And I always believe when you have businesses that do represent either a large market cap or a large number of employees, they can really shift, and they can first signal and then shift action as well. So you have, and congratulations to you all, a great membership that I think can really lead the way on climate, on renewable energy, on social cohesion and all those areas, simply by their market power. We had a great discussion with the Australian Stock Exchange as well in terms of the role that they can play in signaling around ESG issues and climate and energy as well. So really that's a first, and I think your membership on that from the ASX is absolutely important. But you also have a large number of SMEs, and we've spent a lot of time talking about the importance of supply chains and small and medium enterprises. First, because there's a lot of action that happens on the ground. There's jobs created, there's women and young people employed, but also on important things such as Scope 3 emissions, that action happens there. And there's a real strong need to be sure that we can tool and equip and capacitate SMEs to be able to respond, and ideally respond proactively, because every time there's crisis, and we've seen this through climate crises and through the pandemic, it's actually SMEs and supply chains where the most vulnerability is.
Absolutely. And there's a bit of nervousness in Australia among the SME community with climate reporting coming in, because the big companies are going to be asking their supply chain for a lot of information that they're going to have to be able to provide. So we're looking at working with the accountants and the accountancy body in Australia to think about how do we bring SMEs in on that sustainability journey and make sure people aren't getting cut out as a result of the legislation.
Yeah, so important. I think your legislation comes in 2025, just next year. We know that there's been such robust movement and dynamism in the EU around legislation and compliance. The US is as well, actively harmonizing around regulation and compliance. So, our spirit always is we must indeed ensure our participants, large or small, can report and can meet compliance. But we want to go beyond compliance. So the compliance isn't simply about ticking that box. It's really looking at the systemic change that is needed, constant introspection about what you can do for continuous improvement, and then seeing compliance more as a performance improvement tool and less about complying with regulation. But your point is really important. I mean, compliance and regulation should not lock out businesses from business. And it's great to have the Global Compact and networks like yourselves help us get a step ahead as early as we can.
And compliance and regulation shouldn't be all a sustainability practitioner is doing. As our board chair, Fiona Reynolds, always says, it's not a tick box exercise, it's a whole of business transformation exercise, which should take in every single area of the business: procurement, finance, HR, the whole shebang.
Absolutely. It's been really interesting also to meet a couple of companies here where the CEO also holds the title of the Chief Sustainability Officer. It's a real sort of practical demonstration of the fact that sustainability permeates all parts of a company. Great to also hear discussions on circularity, so critical, especially given the focus on biodiversity, nature, restoration and regeneration as well. But you're right. I mean, not just reporting, it's about action and driving those actions through the entire organization.
Yeah, and hopefully that's the message we drove home over the last couple of days, that it's about action. And also making sure you're looking after yourself so you can continue to take that action.
Great personal lessons. But let me just congratulate yourselves and the team. I mean, having over 500 leaders sitting in a room for 2 days, first just listening, learning, sharing and exchanging is absolutely remarkable. And that was just a great show for the confidence that your business participants put in the network, but also lots of prospects and lots of real calls to work across sectors and support the work of the Global Compact.
Yeah, and I don't think we could have done it without the global team having been here. So thank you to you and your fabulous team as well.
Thanks.